Hey guys, remember you guys were saying before how you really wanted more Raffi and you desperately wanted her back? Well, the writers have listened, and here you go. She's back.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
Just play the review. I can't do this anymore. Just do it. This week's show is proof that the last 2 weeks were a giant fluke. The writers still have no talent, the show is still pointless, and everything about it is awful. We see an unwelcome return by unpopular demand of Raffi and Plot B. I was watching the show and I had just, for the briefest of moments, forgotten about her plot, until they shoehorn it in again. I don't know what the deal is with her character, but the writers are determined that you are going to like her, or you're going to think that she is a badass. But every time she does something badass, it's just cringe. Like, she's fighting Worf in a sparring match, and even though Worf is, well, I don't know, 100 years old at this point, and God knows, she still wouldn't be able to beat him because she's a junkie. She's just a crackhead with no discernible talents or any skills. I don't understand why she's even a mem. Does Starfleet have some sort of quota for, like, rehabilitated people that they have to employ? Or because there's no need for money anymore? Well, there is a need for money now because Raffi's a poor person. But do they have to employ her to meet some sort of quota they've set? God knows, because she's completely incompetent. But anyway, she manages to beat Worf in a sparring match, which I don't believe for a second. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself because she's so distasteful that I had to jump right in here. But let me just give you an overview of my thoughts on the episode. It wasn't all bad. Yet again, we go down the route of the main story has quite a few redeemable points in it, and it's semi-intriguing. And when the show concentrates just on that, the episodes can be good. So last week's episode was really good. The episode before that was good up to the point where you got Raffi back into it. And that's a similar sort of situation here. So we've gone to this little up, and now we're coming straight back down into a plummet of shit. The A story here with Picard and Riker, Jack, Beverly, Shaw, 709, those characters on the Titan, it is good. It's quite intriguing. We get some ramifications this week for things that Picard and Riker have done in the past few episodes. There's going to be consequences to their actions. They're basically getting arrested. Riker hands back control of the ship to Shaw, and they meet up with another Federation ship who basically says, you guys have done wrong, we're going to take you in. And this is where we get our cameo of another TNG character, Ro. Now, I had to look this one up because even though I was a reasonably avid Trekkie back in the day, I had to look the character up because she wasn't in very many episodes, but she's still a bit of a callback to TNG. Essentially, she's a character who was very close to Picard for a time. Their ideologies changed somewhat when she joined up with the Star Trek equivalent of a terrorist organization. They're freedom fighters or whatever. They're called the Maquis. They played a slightly bigger role in Voyager, I think, actually, because half of the Voyager crew were Maquis due to convoluted stories. But they bring Ro, and Ro was an important character to Picard. But it's played in a weird way in that it was almost like a romantic relationship they had, or may have had, but It definitely didn't seem that way in the TNG. It was more like a mentor-mentee thing. I don't know if I just didn't get that or read it wrong, but anyway, she comes in as the person who's essentially going to be arresting Picard and Riker and bringing them back. Now, we get some good intrigue here when she first comes on board as to, is she a changeling? Is she not? And that's quite good. That's where the episode does shine. The interactions between Picard and Ro. Because it's Beverly discovered that basically the changelings can go completely undetected now. They've figured out a way to beat all of Starfleet's scanning techniques. They can get through all the scanners. They can even replicate organs and blood right up until the point where you cut into an organ. Only at that point does it actually turn back to goo. So the changes can be anyone. Beverly managed to get this information to Picard while he's being interrogated by Ro. So you get a bit of a good back and forth between the two, where he's not sure if she's a changeling, and we're not sure if she's a changeling because she's not wearing her Bajoran earring and she's not doing certain things the way she would be expected to. They take their conversation to the holodeck, where you get the first bit, which I thought was really weird. So she pulls a gun on him, a phaser, and he whips out a phaser from behind the bar, but his phaser's holographic. And Star Trek lore is that you can't get injured in the holodeck unless you turn the safety protocols off, and you need high-ranking authorization to be able to turn the safety protocols off. So they both would have known that, well, especially him with his holographic phaser, would have known that his phaser would have been pointless. So that was just a stupid scene to make it look cool. Another thing, the writers have just not thought about it. They've just not thought it through. Like you take 2 seconds to look at the scene on the page, even, and you think, oh, this doesn't work. But don't think, oh, that'll be a cool thing if Picard just pulls out a phaser from behind the bar. But it's not real. It's a hologram. So this is another, basically, a slap in the face to people who have any sort of knowledge of the show or the lore within the show. The writers back to their usual tricks. So they have this back and forth, and it's that bit's good. The dialogue between the characters is good. They brought back a character from the original show, which was good. Not one that I was overly interested in, but still good. A good little nod to the fans. That's the sort of things which you're doing. And it occurred to me that the only things that really this show is doing really well in this season is all the member berries, like the remember the nostalgia, and that's going to run dry pretty quickly. So they're going to have to come up with something better than that. So you're getting that part of the story. So it's kind of 3 storylines going on in this episode. The Picard and Ro, is she not a changeling? There's the Raffi subplot with Worf. Then there's this sort of Jack subplot now, where Jack is obviously there's something going on with Jack. We've known that for a few episodes, but we don't know, not sure what. Now, it's revealed in this episode that he has some kind of sleeper cell, super soldier mentality, where he can unwillingly turn on this switch and become an absolute badass. He becomes Jack Wick. He kills 4 security guards or 4 changelings with sweet phaser moves, locking up one in a headlock, boom, 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 kills them all within seconds, and it's super cool. But he's not doing it consciously. So what is going on with him is still a mystery, but it's sort of expanding. The episode starts with him having a dream sequence where he's murdered the entire crew. And I don't think he's ever going to kill any of the crew. So that sort of bait and switch is just odd. I don't think he's going to go. They can't have him murder all the crew outright, even though he's killed 2 of them already. They can't have him murder them all outright because eventually they're gonna turn him into like the hero. So you can't have him just murdering the crew. But it was still a cool scene, like, visually cool. So again, so the intrigue of what Jack is, what his past is still up in the air because, according to Beverly, he's kind of been like this since he was born. So we're going to get another bait and switch where we find out he's not truly Picard's son. He's something else. Did maybe Beverly like have sex with a changeling that was pretending to be Picard? Who knows? So that's one of the plots that's running through this, and that's executed reasonably well. You get some good like choreography, and it's still a mystery that I'm wanting more information on. So that's a good thing. They're still hooking me with that. The main plot of the story of the Picard and Ro and that bit, again, still very intriguing. It's interesting to see, because we're in this stage now where it is said repeatedly that this is the final Picard story, and with that you can take it's the final outing for a lot of characters. So there is some like real world stakes here, and we get that at the end, whereby Star Trek takes a sort of deviation from its normal pattern in that it kills an established character. Now, the classic red shirts dying all the time is not, by the by, they throw away cannon fodder is something they do, they kill all the time, but an established actual character, they very rarely do they kill off a character. Definitely. And it seems to be at this point, at the end, Ro is definitely dead. Her sacrifice, I think, was a bit weird. The way it's executed is not like the greatest, I wouldn't think, but it's still done in a sort of finalised manner. Essentially, having explained to Picard that Starfleet is completely compromised, the changelings are everywhere, and they could be anywhere. She engineers getting most of the Titan's crew off the ship onto the Excelsior, or I can't remember, whatever her ship was. She manages to basically leave only a skeleton crew on the ship, the Titan, and she tells Picard, "It's up to you now. You guys have got to run, and you have to vet everyone I've left behind. It's up to you to vet them. Any one of them could be a changeling. You need to be 100% sure." So she manages to take away most of the crew, and gives them a chance to run away and to figure out what's going on. She also, proving at the same time that she's not a changeling, she gives Picard her Bajoran earring, which she wasn't wearing, which turns out to be like a memory chip. The memory chip is full of all the information she's gathered on the changelings. Now, as she's going back to her ship, she's ambushed by a bunch of changelings who leave a bomb on the ship, which at the same time maybe prevents her from being teleported away. I can't. I think that's basically some sort of anti-teleportation device on it as well. So she decides at that point that she's going to sacrifice herself to give them even more of a chance and disable the other ship. So she flies her shuttle into the engine of the ship and seems very confident that it's not going to completely destroy the entire ship, which is, she doesn't really know what this bomb is. It could be like a nuke for all she's aware, and she's flying it into the ship, so she's taking a bit of a gamble. She's not going to murder all the people who aren't changelings on the other ship. And everyone seems kind of fine with that risky maneuver. Anyway, she does that and gives them a chance to vamoose. We go back to the Raffi and Worf plot, which I really don't want to, but we do, so we're going to rush through this as quickly as possible. Raffi and Worf are fighting. Raffi beats Worf for reasons unknown to anyone other than the writers who really wanted to happen. They come up with some bullshit reason why, as to why Worf killing the Ferengi drug dealer or Ferengi criminal wasn't such a big deal, because this is another one who would definitely know more about it than he did. So they go to the planet to find it. Raffi does the stupidest thing on Earth. She fires a phaser into the sky trying to be badass. She just looks like a psychopath. And she's screaming at all the people of this planet. We're now the ones in charge, and we're basically going to murder you if you don't do as we say. This is proper Starfleet officer class stuff, this is. So she's basically threatening to murder the entire planet, behead them all. And Worf's plan is to just take a nap and let the guy come to them. Which he does. Then we get shit writing again, whereby the Vulcan, it's a Vulcan, has prepared for their trap. But they prepared for him being prepared. But he's prepared for them, preparing for his trap. So now he's got the upper hand. And it all boils down to the fact that they have to kill, one of them has to be killed in order to prove that they are not Starfleet. And Worf says, and I was wishing at this point Worf had just whipped out his sword and cut her head off and be done with it. No, Worf basically says, I'll essentially sacrifice myself so you can win. So we go through some fighting, bullshit. She stabs Worf. I cry inside. I die inside a little bit more. But I die more than Worf does. Because even though they check his pulse, and Klingons just happen to have the same area of pulse as a human. Anyway, they check his pulse, and he's dead. So then, Vulcan villain monologues. I think his name's Sen or Shen or whatever. And basically, this is the guy who managed to help the actual changelings. He was the one who actually helped the changelings break into the Daystrom station. And it is revealed that the Daystrom station is basically impossible to break into because there is an AI protecting the station. Now, he gives them a device to break into that AI, to beat that. Now, I've got a prediction that one of two things is going to be happening here. Either the station's AI is Moriarty, the hologram from TNG that was built in order to beat Data, and he's super intelligent. His AI was taken off the rails so that he could grow exponentially. So either he is the AI, or he is the thing that beat the AI so they could break into the station. One of those two things is almost certainly going to happen. So when they get the MacGuffin, anyway, the AI breaking MacGuffin from the Vulcan, and Worf reveals that he didn't die, but he's mastered a technique to lower his heart rate so that he becomes indistinguishable from death. Bullshit. I mean, it's the future, right? The guy's relying on this to know if he's dead. He's not got a scanner. Scan. Oh yeah, he's actually lying. He's definitely still alive. Again, just nonsense. Just nonsense to me. The whole science part of this, science fiction is just gone. And that was the thing that Star Trek was good at. It didn't, talk down to you. Or didn't just wave its hand and say magic. Like Star Wars, for example. Or other sci-fi shows. It's like it had actual sort of science that you could kind of believe. Obviously, it's science fiction, so it's still not necessarily, it's not true, but they still believed in science at that point. I feel like we've basically reverted back to the new flat Earth society, where it's we now have to just accept people's flat Earth point of view, because if we don't, then you're the one that's wrong. Right? No, science still matters. Anyway, so they get the MacGuffin. And this is where the A and B storyline converge, because it turns out that Ro was Worf's secret handler. So Worf was Raffi's secret handler, Ro was Worf's secret handler. And now, when Ro gives the memory chip or microchip to Picard, it also includes the encrypted channel that they can communicate back and forth with. So they answer the phone to Worf and go on FaceTime, and are super surprised. Hey, Worf, what are you doing here? Oh, yeah, hi, I'm looking for Ro. Is she about? Nah, she dead, mate. Ah, cool, well, I trust you guys, so I'll just talk to you now. So, this is how the A and B stories converge, and this is where, unfortunately, we're going to get Raffi back. Unless, and I still hope this every week, that they just decide to jettison her, because now she's served her, well, she hasn't served a purpose, she's served no purpose. She's served no purpose, she's done nothing. So just get rid of her now. Get rid of her. So, we... yeah, that's basically where it ends, and I'm just back to feeling like this is just a big steaming pile of horse shit. And I was duped in the last 2 episodes into thinking that they could do something good. It turns out they can't. It was lucky. Just turns out they got lucky, which is just super sad, because I was really hoping that this was going to be an upward trajectory, but it turns out it was just a sort of hump back down into the depths of hell. So we get characters just doing stupid things, and to go back to the science part of it, it's like 7 of 9 tells Jack that we're going to hide you in plain sight. Yeah, and that works if you're dealing with cavemen or people whose highest level technology is CCTV. So she hides him she puts him in a red commander's suit uniform. Doesn't bother going for like an incident or a down there. She goes for a commander. I think the reds have become like the commander's uniforms. But TNG has shown on many, many, many occasions, and all of the Star Trek has shown on many, many occasions, all you have to do is say, computer, tell me where Jack is. And the computer goes, Jack is in, blah, blah, blah. So, I mean, the computer knows everything. So all these changes have to do is just ask the computer where he is. It's like, oh, he's standing right in front of you. It's like, oh, shit, there he is. I didn't see you wearing that red suit. And like, again, this writer's just having no care or knowledge about the previous iterations of the show, and just assuming that no one's going to ask questions. But you would assume that by season 3, and people have been constantly asking questions, they might think to themselves, people actually know more about this stuff than we do. Maybe we should look it up. Anyway, I'm back to feeling like this show is just a sort of self-flagellation, like I'm in a cult and I've got to punish myself somehow in order to get to the next level of, Laser Lotus. I can get level 6 and now I can see the colour blurple. If I just watch another 3 more episodes of this. But next week we're going to be almost certainly going to get the introduction of Geordi. Another character for them to raise from the dead and molest heavily. I'm just wondering if you'd better just to leave them in the ground. Leave them in the ground. What horrible things are they going to have Geordi doing now? Is he going to become a war criminal? What are they going to make him do? He's going to have changed his eyes to like laser beams, or he's going to have X-ray eyes so he can perv on people, and he's just going to he'll have been horrible to his kids. Somehow he'll have set their expectations far too high, and they'll never be able to live up to the Geordi the Forge, like fucking bullshit like that, I guarantee. But he'll come in, and I'm hoping, against hope, that they might bring back the Enterprise. Not some new Enterprise. I want Enterprise D. And I know the original Enterprise D is blown up. Or it's like, I think he even mentioned it last week that they just left the saucer section on like Romulus or something. But they could make it again. They could make another Enterprise D, and maybe have some lights on this ship. I bought some lights. Didn't cost me much. Just have some lights on there. Yeah, and Jack, just one final thought. Jack kills these changelings, and Captain Shaw asks him, "Oh, how did you know they were changelings?" And he goes, "I didn't." And at no point goes, holy shit, this guy is a fucking psychopath. He just murdered 4 people without realizing that they were changelings. Maybe we should lock this guy up in case he goes and fucking Jack Wicks us all. Yeah, and they also turned Shaw, who was becoming a good sort of person and character. And Shaw was actually a good captain. He was following the rules. He was a good captain. Now he's just gloating in the fact that Picard and Riker are going to get court-martialed. He just becomes an asshole again. Like, they take him from a likeable, sort of redeemable character and just flap him back into a comedy relief asshole. Like, come on. I would say do better, but they can't. They can't do better. So just stop doing so bad. Stop doing worse. And if I've missed anything, or you feel I'm being unfair, or maybe even being too fair, like, comment and subscribe below and tell me your thoughts. And until next week, we go through this all again. I'll see you then. Bye-bye.